taking that conversation a bit further and talking about these imaginary funders and these imaginary pressures that kind of try to shape and derail you, but an understanding of your biggest point, your biggest why, as the grounding factor that finds a way to always keep what you're doing relevant and keep growth consistent, I think. Because that's also something I've also realized, that you're able to build and not keep starting from ground zero because you know exactly what it is you're adding to and the direction that you're trying to go. Right? And so now my thinking is, as we're talking about purpose and growth and these visions, we've moved from passion, and I'm hearing more technical lingo and more, frameworks. And so it seems that there is a need to become a bit more corporate. Is that necessary for success as a creator?
Why is structure, or maybe let me turn it around, is structure automatically viewed as corporate? Because you could have informal structure that still provides guidance but is not as hierarchical, right? So I don't know if creatives think about it that way.
Like have the value, because I'm a businessman. Now, if he is a Kwame Koda, now I'm using Kwame Koda not just because Kwame Koda is providing a basic nice film. I'm using Kwame Koda because when Kwame Koda shoots my stuff, there are certain people that will see my stuff that will create the impact that I'm looking for. So now I need to bend to Kwame Koda's. You get what I mean? It's like a chess game. So you're negotiating, but you're negotiating with your value. So the problem comes when the values are missed, the brand is all over the place, the pricing, the charging negotiation is off. They will also show up late. They don't respond to emails, and then they get hungry, and hunger forces them to take very bad deals. You get what I mean? So it's a very vicious cycle of how we get to where we are. Yeah, that's like
it makes sense.
Very short summary.
What I'm thinking around is how does that manifest in the same way with fine arts, for example, in the food sector? Do you align with that, or do you want to say something a little different?
Kwame said a lot of things I'm going to be chewing on for a while, actually. But I'll pick one piece that I think transfers very nicely, which is the authenticity and understanding your inherent value as whatever you are, and not communicating a sense of desperation. That's what I heard. And I think when you communicate that, then people know they have power over you and can use it as necessary. But where my mind went when we think of corporate and artists is actually nature, right? So if I'm breaking down what corporate means, what structure looks like, if you look at bees, if you look at ants, the things that work well, systems that work naturally in the world we live in cyclically, are structured. They just happen in a particular way because it brings the most, it's efficient. It brings the best out of whoever or whatever the thing is quickly, right? And it benefits everyone. That's how I understand structure and corporate. And it can be, you can use it negatively or positively. Everything can be turned depending on your intention. So if I'm thinking about artists and this idea of micro teams and even the frameworks we spoke about earlier, you have a bio, you have to email people in a certain way, you have to make a proposal in a certain way. It's creative, of course, but it's structured. And so even if I tie it back to that initial question of the solo artist, it's a micro team, right? You have someone who does the admin. There's a lot of invisible labor that goes into it. And I think when we start to look at that labor, what is a curator pouring in? What is the admin pouring in? What is the photographer contributing towards this artist's success? The person writing, the person communicating, the person speaking about Thames and positioning her in a way that's important. All of that is structure, and it just maximizes what everyone can get and what everyone can put in. And so from the artist, fine artist lens, even outside of a gallery space as an independent curator, working with other creatives, that's very important. It doesn't mean it has to interrupt the flow or automatically bring in monetization or whatever it might be. It just means there's steps. There's 1, 2 follows that, 3 follows this. And I also don't believe that it's static. I think everything we're discussing is very dynamic. I have an artist friend, the artist who I worked with for the Silent of Intimacy. Her name is Fran. Her bio as an artist, the first sentence is, Fran is an artist who exists in flow. That's it. She thrives in a space that's free, that is fluid, that can, happen however from whichever starting point. But in the process of doing our exhibition, we have Excel sheets. We know where the budget is. We know who's selling. We know when you need to sign. What is the frame? There's all of these steps, and I don't think it's as scary as I'm losing my artistry now. I'm losing my independence, or someone is owning me now. Or I think there's a lot of negotiation that happens, and that's the human element in these things. That's what I see. Yeah, curious about the food space though.
Actually, in our food economy, I feel that when it comes to that space, you do have to. I want to make an argument for structure actually, because in the end, like you also said, structure also helps you in a way thrive, and I feel structure has a very negative connotation most of the times, but I actually feel that structure is something that helps you focus and that helps you go for the right things in the end. So I feel that a lot of our microeconomies with us, when it comes to, for example, our team that is doing programs, I feel they rather have to go for, okay, redefine what we're doing, and then like what I was referring to when I first started, right? And then we're getting the people on board that are fitting our brief, and that is staying like within the structure. So I feel maybe the food economy is a little bit, or at least the way Ghana Food Movement operates in that economy is a bit different than the one that you guys are operating in. Yeah.
Thank you for that, and I think, but it seems that there is a necessity for that structure. I would say for me, I understand it as a language. It's like how if you're doing business, a lot of people learn to speak English just because it helps bridge worlds. If the funding is with the corporates and then the creators or the peers, to bridge those worlds, you need some kind of language, and I think structure becomes that language. These are huge tools within which we work. So the tools become a meeting ground, I would say, like a bridge. Is there a thought?
Yeah. So what's funny with that is, with my years going around and bumping into people like Joey and other creatives and that are actually purists, they are very pure at heart. We have realized that really we have conversations like these, but we realize that we don't look hard enough to find a way to still rope in that money and still keep our pure intent. Because there are ways around it. There are actually now more brands interested in that. You get me? Yes, they have their own personal agenda. They want to probably push numbers to their platform and stuff like that. But things like pushing numbers to their platform and you're getting your money to be free to create what you want, there are things that you can trade off and still keep that pure intent. You get me? They're like fashion houses that are collaborating with like local artists doing like disruptive art. You get me? Like it's changing. Like there are people, there are finance people who are also purists that would align with a Basquiat type of artist now. You get me? When Basquiat started in the 80s and stuff like that, well, it was new and everybody was like, okay, what's this? You get what I mean? But you had like, what's this guy's name? Alex something, forgotten his name, Holler or something, who like, okay, I think this guy is pouring out a very pure sense of self, and I think in a couple of years, this is actually going to be the thing. And you see a lot of new artists, and you can see clearly that they were inspired through the art form that he was pushing. So let us not just build, because I speak to a lot of creators, and it's like they already give up from the get-go. It's like, no, they'll affect my creative. No, but like listen, find a way or create something for a specific fund or brand that you can control the narrative or collaborate with other people that actually understand your vision. But when we have conversations like this, most of them leave the room with, yeah, the big brands are just going to come and take my work and run. Sometimes we also take advantage of the big brands. Sometimes we use them to put our work in the forefront so that we can build our own sustainable platforms off them. You get me? So instead of just looking at they're out to get us, how do we use them as well? They've used us for a long time. The record labels, everybody has used us. So how do we leverage on them to create something that is truly ours? And I think when the thinking starts like that, we can take their funds and use it to create something locally that we truly own and now start having a controlling conversation. You get what I mean? So it's a give and take, and we just need to make sure the legalities do not consume our works.
It's something that we can very easily find a way to navigate because we understand the values that define that space. We understand the very dynamic structures that exist in this space, and we speak the language of our humanity and how that interplays with our ambitions, and we have an understanding, right? One of my father's things when it comes to informal sector, he says OPM. My father's an Igbo man, so OPM is operating with people's money, right? And it's something he taught to me when I was like 13, right? When you think of an idea, the first thing that comes into my mind is not grants and funds. Is, okay, so who am I doing this with? Which neighbor, which friend, which other big man am I collaborating with? Using their resources to bring my vision to life in a way that both of us benefit. OPM philosophy. And naturally, you grow up and then you get the experience and then it translates more corporate. But these are just things that, it's just how your mind works. And the reason why I'm going on this tangent is to say, how have each of you leveraged the informal market in a way that was unique and helped you not have to do certain things the formal way? How has it benefited you existing in this African context? Don't mention the bad parts. I know you're filtering, but...
And for the opening events, we had, like I said, we had a chef, we had a curated menu, we had drinks, we had a photographer. And the photographer was someone who is developing her own practice and was very eager for a space to practice with other women who she resonated with in terms of her mission and her values. We're not paying a photographer 500 million cities. They're equally gaining something, and it was mutually beneficial, right? Ghana Food Movement, I believe they enjoy using natural ingredients, local ingredients to craft stories that benefit whatever space it is. So in that way, we were able to communicate our friendship, this artistic idea, what does space, intimacy, and all of these things, what does that look like on a palette through a culinary experience. So you bring that in, of course, we'll pay that person, but equally we're growing the Ghana Food Movement story or that chef's story because they were part of a creative exploration. Now they can create for exhibitions, and that can transfer to the museum level, to whatever level. And so at every point we were looking around us. So you look at your peers before you look elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? And that truly, truly taught me to start with what you have, truly. And so, yeah, I think that's where I would go with that.
Building is also supposed to benefit all of the people that are around, from the churches to the school next door to everybody around. So we're always thinking of ways how we can collaborate with the market women, with also the smaller people that are running those untaxed businesses, and how we can put them on a platform. So and there's 1,000 examples from. We just recently hosted the Dutch embassy, and we had a really beautiful event. It was on seat diversity. I curated a really nice deco and setting, but we also thought, okay, how can the rest, also benefit from it? And then we organized a market tour where they would go to the market and would be introduced to a setting that they would usually not be introduced to. So the initially needed market women would also benefit from it because they were introduced to they were introduced to new buyers as well. So now actually we talked to them and they said, yeah, they keep on coming back. And they, because the Dutch delegation, they would usually never go on their own to the market actually. So we kind of created basically a new, I don't know how to put it, but a new system, new buying system as well that would have otherwise not existed. They would have probably sent someone else. Yeah, but there's so many ways I feel that you can like use that informal sector to lift things.
Stuff that I'm doing now, it makes life a little bit easy for me because like it's easier to collaborate and like based on the brand that I've been able to build, like I easily get people to come involved and stuff like that. So I'm not sure it's a very good story.
No, I think it still is. I mean, like, because yes, it benefits you, but you know, to what extent do they also take from it? Is that how you think?
Well, I think in that sense, then I think most have actually benefited more from me because I've actually worked with guys that did not have any idea whatsoever, like proper green guys. And I think by the time I was done and they had gone through the process of meeting the right people in certain spaces or taking photographs of like important spaces and stuff like that, they understood where they can get to with their craft and what it means to transcend beyond what they were thinking. But another problem that I realized in that process, because I've worked with a lot of them, and it's from the beginning, it's like the dream they have. I don't even know if I should call it a dream. It's not really a dream. It's, yeah, the ambition. I'm saying there's no ambition. It's they just really want to pay the rent. You know what I mean? You get me? Yes. So it's there's a lack of ambition and drive. So most of the time what I do is I put them in rooms where they get close to people that are like them, that have been able to push the boundaries to like a global level, and then they are able to see up close that, oh wow, it is possible. You get what I mean? Like I can actually push my craft to that level. So I mean, in that way, I think I've been blessed in a way to be able to create that kind of platform for very green guys to be able to up what they think their dream should be and be inspired enough to push the boundary a little bit forward. And guys are starting to like think of exhibitions and stuff like that. Like, okay, now I don't want to just shoot events, boss, I want to do an exhibition. How do you think we can do it? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, why don't we figure out something like this? Okay, I'll call Black Walter, I'll call this person. Like, oh yeah, oh we can do it like this. Oh, it's possible. Oh, I saw I'm on Wow for and we need this and like, oh. So they're able to actually, they're on social media, but like what they actually don't see it. That's what's actually interesting. But when they get close to it, then they realize that, oh, it's actually possible.
I think that's a beautiful note to end the panel, talking about how collaboration is not something that you gain from alone, but also an opportunity to expose, not pay an exposure, but to really just like expose more people to the opportunities and their capacities within Ghana's creative economy. So I love that the next panel is going to be a conversation about an effort to build within the creative economy and a call even to collaborate in whatever facets. So switching from this panel, thank you guys so much. We'll be hearing some words from Kwame, Koda, and Beatrice, partners on an effort to bring in an arts festival that includes all facets of creativity: culinary, fine arts, marketing, and just project management on a big scale. So definitely stick around. Let's breathe for 5 minutes, drink some water or a drink. And Koda and Beatrice will be joining us on the panel to tell all of you a little bit more about Suntopia Arts Festival coming up later this year.
Great.
creativity with our values of emotional intelligence, innovation, and expression. We as women, we usually tend to be ignored in the creative space. So in building Mad Woman, one of the most important things for me was to make every woman that we do work with, or any talent that we have that's a woman, be seen most importantly, not just based off her talent, but also just who she is as a person. Um, a little else about me. I'm the creative explorer, let me put it that way. I try my best to delve into all kinds of creative stuff. I try not to be in the fixed system situation. So one of the things I also tend to put out in regards to the agency is we're very unconventional. You wouldn't see a work that we've done that is probably done continuously by other people. So everything that we try to do, we try to be innovative, we try to be fresh, we try to come up with a solution that is structured but also very unique in its own way. Partnering with Koda for Samtopia was quite interesting because when we first met, we actually didn't know each other at all. We just probably had been following each other, but we did not know each other at all. And I think the conversation that was had on the panel before, one of the key things we really heard about was collaboration. And I guess this is what really Santopia is about collaboration, is about expression, is about just being able to have the people that are not seen now seen in the manner that makes sense to them most importantly. Because one of the things that we both realize, and we've been going back and forth about it, is we're usually imitating our ideal self when we are doing any sort of creative work. It's like it's a continuous need to be better in everything we do. And I personally have noticed that recently, even with my works. I feel like I'm not doing enough, and then someone says, "Oh, you're doing great," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I want the next one to be really better than the last." So there's a constant growth in just trying to be better than the day before, and even the work that you've done before. But yeah, to just cut that out, this is me, the explorer. Who are you?
So my name, most people know me by my work in photography and directing. And basically, I think most recently I've been called as the Sandman because of this whole idea of the sun motif that is most seen in my work. And the idea behind that whole thing is it's actually a bigger agenda than myself, because I feel like, so me, if I am the best photographer, we're going to have the best videographer, we're going to have the best doctor, we have the best lawyer, the best politicians, the best country, and we're going to have the best standard of living. So I'm doing this to inspire other Africans to do the same, to become the best version of themselves. And that's how I believe we're going to have a seat at the table as Africans and also have our piece of the cake. Basically, that's me.
That deserves some nice applause. So we have here today the Sun Man and the Mad Woman. Crazy collaboration, guys. That's crazy. I love what you were saying about the sun, because Burna Boy has this quote and he says, "The horizon," which is like that point where the sun sets, the horizon is where God lives. And I think if we stretch that from the angle that you're coming from, then that feels like how much bigger than to aspire to get to the house of God. Not in a religious way, but you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, when you were talking, that's what came into my mind. And so I think we kind of touched very lightly on why Santopia, or why the people you are have led you into pursuing something like this. But I want to ask you, what exactly would Santopia manifest itself as? What's the vision there?
I would say Santopia would manifest itself as an archive. I say an archive mainly because the the core focus, or the core of what we're trying to do, is focus on three particular arts forms. So visual arts, performing arts, and culinary arts. It's not just based on what it's about, but breaking it down to so many different things that we can actually explore. And I think that brings it down to also how you'd be able to express yourself through those things. So I think one of the things that I'm really particular about regarding this is just making sure that anyone that we collaborate with, or anyone that we get in touch with, or anyone that we're building on this with, is really true to their art. Because like Henrika said at some point, there are people that eventually they stop what they're doing.
You know, you're not just anybody. You have something that is bigger than the world, and the world wants to see it. And I want, from the viewer of the outsider or somebody from the West, I want that person to see this and be like, wow, like, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know Africans could do this, or I didn't know these people could come together to put something like this together, right? And I don't, that point is very, it's kind of funny, because I'm not trying to say we are trying to do something to let people see it and be in awe, but I want them to see it, and I don't want it to look like we are trying to, we need them to do it. You get me? I want it to be our own party, and I want people to say, I want to be part of this. So it's not about creating something to go and sell it, to even sell it outside, but it's about creating something and making it bigger than what it is to be, because we believe in it. You get me? Sometimes we kind of find ourselves trying to do things to let people buy into it, right? That's why sometimes we have to compromise our values, because like, this is what they want, and we want this from them, so we have to do it their way. But I want us to do something that we do it our way, and if it's as big as it can be, because we believe in it, and it's for us. You get me? So that's what I hope Santopia to be. I want people to see this and believe in it, and then I want people to also stop hiding what they have inside them, and also show it, right? And be a part of this, and just let their sun shine, basically. Yeah.
I think, like what I said earlier, one of the things that we as creatives usually, we never think we're good enough, right? And I personally say that to myself. I'm always like, oh, this work, yeah, as much as someone is looking at it as is great, I can do much better, right? And funny enough, I had this conversation with someone just a couple of hours ago, and the person asked me, why do you think this particular work is not good? Or why do you think the next one is going to be better? And I actually sat down and I said to myself, I'm actually not sure I have an answer. And I realized it was just based on a perception I was putting on myself, even though it may not be that, but I'm throwing that idea into my mind, because the general thought is, as I'm doing work, as I'm growing, or as I'm doing work, with my business, I'm hoping that it just keeps getting better. So I feel like for me, for what this is really about self-expression in the manner that even as I'm looking to work with these kind of people, or even partner with him, as simple as that. One of the great things I'm learning even as we've started this is, he actually said it today, I'm the fire, he's the water, right? We have very different behaviors, but at the same time, we know it's not clashing. It's working in a manner that is understandable on both sides. So I think for what it really is to be able to look at people express themselves in a manner that they're probably not given that opportunity to in the other ways or places that they do their work. It's more about, I'm so dear to this and I want this to be better. I want to see what this could be in the future. I want to feel like it's close to my heart than anything else that I've ever done. And that's how I'm looking at my work currently right now. I'm looking at my work as I'm in love with it more than a business, right? I mean, the business part is very important because we need the money, but the love is more there than before, because I'm not looking at it just as this is how I'm making my money. I'm looking at it that this is something that I'm enjoying. So even in the collaborations that I do, it has to make sense. I'm not just going to do any work just based on the fact that I need to make this money. I'm also making sure that what I'm doing, I'm making the best out of it because this is what I believe in. Yeah.
Hello, Sajia. Do you want to add something?
I want to add something, but I want you to just repeat the question, just so I'm very, very clear on how to approach this.
The question was, how would you said you want people to use this platform as something that they can show up to in a crazy way.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for you specifically as Kwame Koda?
For me specifically, to narrow it down. So one of the ideas that I had was that I wanted it to be like I wanted the space where the festival is going to happen in to be like an orange world, right? Where basically we're going to have art installations and the entrance, the stages is just going to ooze art, like it's going to shout art, right? So I want people to see that and then still build into their belief, right? So it's going to be me showing my art in a different way. I've been secretly showing it in tiny ways, right? So for instance, right, the installation I did with Afrofuture is one of them. The installation I did with Alton Sphere is one of them. My music videos, the art direction that I put into it is one of them. People don't know this, but I'm secretly doing it because I'm building my muscle towards what we are about to do with stuff like this or things like this. So it's going to be another masterpiece or an art piece where I'm going to show what's in my head or my creativity. And one last thing I need to add, there's a whole thing that I put this thing out under, and it's called Vision Santopia. And I call it Vision Santopia because I believe there are visions given to me by God. So we're just going to see another vision that God has given to me to show to Africans or the rest of the world. So basically, that's what it's going to be for me specifically. Yeah.
I mean, I as some sense, I see how I've kind of been part of that vision, but if anybody else wants to collaborate with you, what capacities can they collaborate with? What are the opportunities that exist in Santopia?
But if you're trying to see something, if you're trying to invest something, if you're trying to highlight something, every kind of way. Let me make it very simple. So there's this one artist, right, that does digital painting that I normally collaborate with to do some art installations I do for some of my clients in the US, right? And this guy is very, very talented. I mean, he has the basic things, the Instagram page. He doesn't have a website, but he makes sure he's posted his work out there and everything. And every now and then we'll have conversations about how he's doing all these things, but he's still not getting the kind of opportunities that he needs to get and everything. And I've been thinking of ways to give him a platform because the stuff that I do with him are basically like collaboration. So I'll say, the person will be like, oh, I want you to do something orange with the sun. I'll be like, okay, I could take a picture, but I want to collaborate with this person who does art installations there. So we put it out there, and then I'll come back to him a year later and I'll ask him like, oh bro, so I have this work again and I want you to do it for me. How much are you going to charge me? And he'll say, I'll put this figure out there just for you guys to get out of here. He'll say, oh, I want 900 cities. And I'm like, bro, I have 10,000 cities for you. And he goes crazy. I'm like, bro, what if we had a platform or a space where people could meet with the right people or see people do things that they aspire to do and see like face to face? Because it's one thing to watch this on YouTube, it's another thing to see it on Instagram, but it's another thing to see it right in front of you or come into a space where it's happening. And this is where we're going to find the next Amakopa for something. But it's just about opening up that space or that opportunity for more people to have the ability to find themselves or discover themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you want to arrest them, like you want to arrest the attention, arrest the ambitions, right? I love that. Do you want to add anything? I want to open it up to questions because I feel like if this is about collaboration, it is about collaboration, and it's about an interaction between you and Santopia. You know what I mean? So does anybody have any questions for Santopia, capacity in which you can collaborate? An idea, something you saw at a different festival that you didn't like, that you don't want them to do?
Especially that part.
You know, because I know there's art festivals that come through and then they start first 2-3 years, and they leverage on the informal economy and informal market, and then maybe when they become big, then suddenly people don't eat from when they invested in. Is that something that you want to talk to them about? Are they
They
gonna
take
do
their
that as
money.
well? Is that what you're gonna do as well, guys?
I think, again, the collaborative aspect is very important to us, mainly because it's not even about us, the festival, it's about what we are hoping you gain as an individual or as an artist based off what you do, right? And it's more or less like we're just here to hold your hand and take you through like very different manners or different ways of being expressive to what it is that you're trying to do. And I think as artists or creatives or whatever we are, I don't want to just specifically put it on artists and creatives. Just even in anything that you do, your hope is to always be better. So if there's an angel investor or someone of some sort that comes around, it's like peak happiness for you because you know that there's going to be some level of growth. And that's how I look at it, as we're hoping that, and even the collaborations that we make is not just beneficial to us, it's more about you and how you're able to express yourself through this platform. And I think Kwame even made a statement again that, in everything that we're doing, especially as creators, we also need to be thinking about the business aspects as well. So in that similar way, there's an art exchange aspect in, in Santopia that we're also hoping there's some revenue that you're still making based off what you're doing. We're also hoping you're able to exchange really great artworks that you've done with people, even if it's just artists, even if it's just people that are sitting here that have a really amazing artwork at home, and I have a similar artwork, and I'm like, hey, this is my artwork, I would like to exchange it with yours based off maybe this price. What we don't realize we're doing is it's a connection we're making in a very different way, but that's what this whole thing is about. It's supposed to feel like we're all connected in very different mediums or very different ways. So I would hope that for anyone that is hoping to be a part of this, you understand exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and most importantly, who you're doing it with. Because collaboration doesn't always work. It's even as Africans, collaboration could start from the dining table. Just based on us sitting around, collaboration could start from WhatsApp group chats. The thing about us as Ghanaians or even just Africans in general is there's always something better as a group. And that's what makes us great or even be better when we do something, with other people, or like they say, two heads are better than one, right? It's based on those reasons. We thrive off groups. You have protests and all of that happening in the country, and you can realize that it's happening only because these people are doing it as a unit together, exactly, as a collective together. No, if you're doing it alone, no one will give you two looks. They will wonder why. But when it's a group, it's like no one wants to say anything else because they know there are other people that believe in what you're doing. So it's in a similar way. If you feel like you're alone, we want you to feel like you're not alone. This time, there are other people that believe so much in what you do that we want to help you be better, or we want to help you gain that confidence through this platform. Yeah.
First, like Whitney, everything that you're saying is very exciting to me. It's this idea of for us, by us, and other people can plug in if you want, but we don't need you. I think that's beautiful. And it's a fantastic offering that you guys are putting out. What I would like to know, if it's possible to get maybe a little bit more specific on what do you need in order to be able to offer this to people. I think in the room there's probably marketers, photographers, there's someone with a very specific skill set who can do the AI thing in a way that will, make the immersion, da, 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 da. So yeah, maybe put out some actual asks. It's great if they're artists, but what specifically? And money, right? Maybe he's left the room, but there was someone in the VC space, right? So who more specifically do you guys need?
Going to be more sponsorship, and what's in it for you is okay. You've been you're trying to like do something, right? But this is a buffet or like a menu of different kinds of art people that you can tap into and then help your brand or whatever you're trying to market or sell or whatever. That's my very short answer. But yeah, okay.
Brief follow-up. The question is running away from my mind.
Let it come.
Okay, great. Yes, is there going to be a database? Like, what is it's an archive, right? So
Yeah.
everyone who comes will be documented in some way.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
So was that answered?
I think I kind of answered it.
Yeah. There's going to be a database for that. Yeah, and the kind of collaborations I'm looking for is, for example, right? So you know of acrylics, right? And they are into selling like paintbrushes and whatnot. So what would it look like having different kinds of artists in one space, and what would that look like for? What would that be for acrylics? So that kind of partnership. That's one. What would it look like having a bunch of underground musicians in one space for, let's say, performance arts, and what would that look like for audio mac, or what would that look like for boom play or something like that? So basically stuff like that. Yeah.
We want to make sure that when we wake up the next day and we probably have like $1 billion in our pocket, we know that it's based off how we treated this thing from the beginning. And I think that's the most important part for me, those partnerships and those investors, because that's really what would keep it afloat. That's what's going to make it sustainable. That's what's going to have this person's dreams still go ahead if the person wants to do something, as a residency with us for a longer period. So I'm looking for, like I said, the investors. I'm looking for people that have ideas that would want to grow. I'm looking for people that have the revenue for the ideas even that they have, just for us to do this together and not feel like we're just doing it for fun. Yeah.
Do we have anyone in the back that has a question?
Where it can get a bit tricky when you're trying to curate for a whole bunch of different sectors. So I guess I'm wondering how you want to balance doing that, because it's the best experience most people won't notice. Like when something goes well, people don't actually notice. It's when something goes bad that it happens. And in a scenario where you're trying to create a good experience for both the artists and then the people coming through the festival or the show, like there's a lot of moving parts. So how you balancing making sure on the artist side, like they get a good experience and interact with viewing their art, but they also get good experience like relating with other artists who are also there. How do you balance making sure like the work that's being viewed, since it's like different things, how can I get the most out of that? Because it can be overall. I hate menus that have a lot of things because like I can't figure out what exactly I want to. So yeah, like how you gonna go about that?
Okay, so it comes into a music festival. I mean, there's the art component in there, but most of these things turn into a music festival, right? So what I thought about is that, you see, the idea of the sun has like layers in it, right? So I thought about, so say we are setting up the space, right? We're going to have different circles, right? So there's going to be a circle that's going to be dedicated to performance art. There's going to be another circle that's dedicated for visual art, and there's going to be another circle that's dedicated to the edible art. So if you attend Santopia Festival, you just have to find your way and navigate your way to, oh, okay, there's this experience here I want to be at, there's this experience here I want to be at. So it's going to be like the setup of the space is going to be dedicated to each kind of art form, so you can, navigate your way. I hope that helps with the answer. Yeah.
Also to add to it, within the period gets into the festival, we would be doing different kinds of like activations and experiences to connect with, each of these focuses. So if it's visual arts and there's something that we're doing for visual arts, we would connect with all these people that are probably tapped into a certain art form or whatever it could be. Mainly because, like you said, it's not far-fetched for it to be, all over the place, because that's really what a lot of festivals tend to be. And I would also want to say that if you think about something along the way as we're, doing this. Even if we come up with another event and you're present and you see us and you say, hey, based on the last thing that, you guys spoke about, this is something that we think would also help. Like, that's what I want to feel after this. I want to feel like it wasn't just a talk. It was more of us connecting and us also understanding that because we've been in these similar cases, or we've been manifesting so much for ourselves. This is something that we want to see grow together, not just based off man, woman, or based off, Kwame Koda or Vision Santopia or anything like that. In the same manner, we are both on this because we also believe in, what it is. If I didn't believe in it, I don't think I would have said yes to him even asking me to come on board. And in the same manner, if he didn't believe in me, I don't think he would have asked me to come on board as well. So it's that same manner that I feel like we should have regarding Santopia. Like, what do we want to really see it be for us as African or Ghanaian creatives? Because it's not supposed to end here. We want to be able to take these Ghanaian creatives or African creatives to Netherlands. We want to be able to take them to Spain. We want to be able to take them to this place. But the difference is that we're still celebrating what it is that we are true to. Not trying to celebrate, Spanish art based on the fact that we're there. We're celebrating Ghanaian art in Spain. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Can I?
Oh yes.
I
You can.
really wanted feedback. Like, it's really important to me. I want to hear the ideas that you guys have. I want to hear what you think we should look at, or something we are not seeing, or something we are not noticing. What are the problems that you identify? I want to hear all those things here. Yeah, so.
And we are going to hear it in the mixer coming up next on today's event. So we're gonna transition. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna mingle, interact, network. This us and them, stage and audience. Now we can really just gel and have one-on-one, face-to-face, more intimate conversations. And then have like more honest conversations, exchange phone numbers, and see how we can collaborate moving forward. Is that okay? Awesome. Let's go outside.
So
Also,
we'll take the questions there.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can,
like,
you can
we'll
just
get-
come
take
up
all
to
the
us if
feedback.
you have anything. But I just wanted to give like the emails. Our emails are my email first. Beatrix at the Mad Woman Agency. If you are shy, I'm usually the shy person, so I don't want to walk up to anyone. I'll just email you my business, language. So the email is Beatrix at the Mad Woman Agency. Please feel free to just email to just say, hey, based on what you said, this is an idea I also thought about. And Kwame's email is
Just send the emails to visionsantopia@gmail.com. That's it.
exactly, and we will take it from there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Whitney Ernest, and I was your host today. DJ.
Hi guys, it's Big A from the Culture TV. Who do I have here?
My name is Kwame Koda.
Okay, today we are having the mixer of the Santopia Arts Festival. We want to know what inspired this mixer or something.
So this is supposed to be a conversation towards the main idea of what the Santopia Art Festival is supposed to be. So it's supposed to be an art festival for creatives, right? We're going to be celebrating art expression, and we're going to be detaining ourselves. So this mixer was supposed to be like a conversation starter for what the festival could be and how it could how we could make it bigger than what we are even thinking of it to be. So we are looking out for partnerships and sponsorships and whatnot, and those are the kind of conversations we're having here.
Okay, so talking about creatives, do you think creatives should be cooperating, or you think they should each creative should be on his or her own, or there should be a collaboration?
No, as a creative, you can never be on your own because there's only a limit to which you can be. But collaborating with other people always brings a different version of you that you might never even know you had. So I think creatives should always collaborate so they could explore and make things bigger than what it is.
Okay, so to the final question, do you have any advice or anything you want to tell the creatives out there?
Yeah, I would say keep your head down, keep going, be very consistent and be very strategic about your approach. Know where you are going and make your part towards that. Try and do everything that connects you to your future or what your main goal is. So yeah, be consistent and then keep up the hard work and keep working towards your ideal goal. Yeah, there should be an ideal goal of what you are trying to achieve. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so he says consistent. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you too.